Okay. We have reviewed the weaknesses of our position and have more to talk about. If we are unable to agree and reach a verdict, is the entire case mistried or is the single count mistried? I think they didn't mean it exactly the way they said it. Because it says, if we are unable to agree and reach a verdict, which doesn't really make sense, but I think I know what they mean. If they're unable to agree, is the entire case mistried or just that count? And I think the instruction, well, the instruction really doesn't say that count. I think I said it, but I would repeat it again. And so my answer to them would be, if you are unable to agree on a verdict as to that count, only that count is mistried. The other verdicts stand.
Did you send back,
Yes.
you send the written instructions back there?
Yes.
Okay, that's in conflict with what you said on the record. So I think you could tell them to interlineate your words. The actual written instruction does say case is missing.
Yeah, and I think when I read it, you're right. I didn't say case, I said count. But that instruction does say case, you're right, which shows how carefully these folks are looking at everything. All right, so,
Judge, my request would be to redraft the standard instruction with your words because it should say as to any count on which you can't agree and send that back with us.
okay.
Unless you, or bring them out and explain it to them and just tell them, write in each count instead of the case.
Does somebody have an extra copy there?
It's in the last paragraph, I believe, so.
It's in a couple places.
Let me look at it. Basically, in the last couple of lines, it just says, I will declare this case mistried. I think I said count, but I probably should have changed that word from case to count. I mean, I could have them bring their instructions out and tell them just scratch a case out and put count in there.
That's.
So they'll have that with them, but I want to answer the question for them and say that, no, the entire case is not mistried, only the count that you cannot reach a verdict on would be mistried.
And I think we can even bring up the fact that it did say the word case in written form, but it was count.
Okay.
And we can explain that, so that way they don't feel like we told them something
Right.
wrong.
So that's okay to explain it that way, Mr. Stroller?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dunn, is that all right, to explain it that way? State.
Yes, sir.
All right, bring the jurors on in, please. And tell them to bring, if you would, the most recent instruction with them, please.
Yeah.
Yes, it says 4.1 jury deadlock.
Jurors in the courtroom.
All right, folks, you can have a seat. I have your question, and again, for the record, the question is, we have reviewed the weaknesses of our position and have more to talk about. If we are unable to agree, and I think this means to reach a verdict instead of and, is the entire case mistried or is the single count mistried? Only the single count is mistried, not the entire case. If you've reached a verdict as the other counts, they stand. And perhaps if you look at the, I see pens already going, so I see where you guys are really very, very good. I read it and I said the word count. You noticed that, didn't you? You guys are something. But you are correct. Here at the bottom, you're looking at the second to the last line, it says case. That is incorrect. That's my fault. It is only the count. So if you ultimately reach a verdict, that's one thing. If you ultimately cannot, then only that count is mistried. Okay, so if you need to interlineate that, that's why I had you bring that out, because I suspected that you caught that. So that answers your questions. You all can return to the jury room and continue your deliberations. Thank you all very, very much. Any exceptions or objections to what was said to the jury from the state,
Yes, sir.
from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Dunn?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, that just solidifies that these folks are very detailed people, have paid very, very, very close attention to everything, and they have analyzed this thing from every angle. Whether they can agree or not is another matter, but you certainly could never fault them for their effort and how they have conducted themselves throughout this trial. I could not be, as I said once before, I couldn't be more proud of these folks and the work that they've done to try and get this case to a resolution. So I'll probably have a little bit more to say about that once we get their final decision, but I do want everybody to keep that in mind and recognize that they're what makes this system work, and that we need to respect whatever their verdict is and respect the position that they have been put in and that they're in, and the fact that they have been basically put their lives on hold for the last 13 days to make very, very difficult decisions. And I'll never have enough words of thanks that I could give them for their efforts. So anyway, we'll be in recess until we hear more from them. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Judge, do you have